given that you predicted the attack on Iran, do you see another attack in 2026? Because it appears that the Israelis are selling this very hard to Trump, though.
Look, Trump is going to continue his attacks everywhere, okay? So expect land strikes against cartels in Mexico. Expect land strikes in Colombia. That's a massive American Navy assembled in Caribbean. It's not going away. It's still going to, attack fishing boats. It's still going to do what it's going to do. So the American military presence in the Caribbean, it's only going to increase, because what Trump wants to do is bring the entire global south under its control. And then in April, when he goes to China, he now has leverage over China. Okay, everything is leading to April, where Trump wants to sit down with China and negotiate a grand bargain in which, and an example is where, okay, you know what? You're the subordinate to the empire, China. So what's going to happen is this: we control Venezuela, but we will allow you to go into Venezuela and build up the oil infrastructure so you can extract it and buy it from us with US dollars. Okay, that's literally what Trump has planned in April.
And how will the Chinese respond to this, though?
That's a great question. And how China responds will determine the next 5 years. So I'm based in China. I know China very well. And I will tell you, like right now, there's a lot of debate within China. There's a lot of different factions who propose different strategies. Some are very pro-Russian and says, listen, in the long term, we're better off with Russia. But there are also some factions who are like, you know what, we don't become too reliant on Russia. If we get 100% of oil supply from Russia, that's gonna be a problem. So maybe it's better to get 50% from America, 50% from Russia. So you have a whole spectrum of views, and what China will decide in April will depend on how these different factions coalesce together, and they will also have to look at the geopolitical environment, and then there's these domestic concerns as well. So I couldn't tell you right now what will happen in April, but my thinking is, if I were a betting man, I would think that China and the United States will come to a grand bargain. But this grand bargain will not actually alter the geopolitical landscape, meaning that the empire will still collapse and you'll still have wars raging around the world.
Yeah, well, I think the three main rules of energy security is diversify, diversify, diversify. So it's probably a good move for China not to become excessively dependent on Russia. So yeah, main partner good, but and any country wouldn't want to put themselves in that position where all eggs are in one basket. But again, back to Iran, though, because again, I think you're right. There's many countries who could be next: Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Panama. Well, de facto Denmark taking Greenland. They could go back to Gaza, Lebanon. They could lose Syria, go back in there. Russia intensify. China, of course, Nigeria, maybe they're not done bombing there. So there seems to be a lot of countries on Trump's war list. But in terms of Iran, how likely do you think this is, that there will be a do-over? Because they didn't go as well as they hoped last time, obviously.
So I think that Trump was elected. The Israelis helped to elect Trump because remember, Miriam Adelson gave $100 million to Trump, right? So, and a lot of it was that Trump agreed that he would resolve the Iran issue. And we saw that in June in Operation Midnight Hammer. But, Trump is transactional. So he is going to invade Iran at some point, but he wants to maximize his own personal benefit. Okay. So what this means is that he's looking for as much as possible from the Israelis. So what's happened is that Elon Musk has promised Trump $200 million for the midterms in November. Miriam Adelson has promised Trump $250 million if he were to run for a third term. Okay, so Trump is just trying to maximize as many benefits as possible before he pulls a trigger and orders an American attack on Iran. But all the seeds are in place, right? Because we're seeing all these protests in Iran. We can never know for sure the extent of these protests, but we can know that, listen, you have these Mossad agents in there You've got all this American special forces in there. A lot of money is being spent on bribing these criminal networks, minorities, dissidents to cause as much havoc as possible in Iran. And quite honestly, Iran itself is facing a lot of economic issues because of this American embargo. So, um, Iran is in a lot of trouble in 2026. But whether or not Trump pulls the trigger in 2026 is I can't tell you. It's possible he launches more strikes, but the real issue is, will Trump launch a ground invasion of Iran? Because Israel wants regime change in Iran, and the only way we can do that is with ground troops. Airstrikes won't do it. And Israel itself cannot do it by itself, so it needs the United States to send in ground troops. So 2026, I think we will see an acceleration of events, but but maybe 2027 is when we'll have the full climax.
Yeah, but with this great power rivalry with the Chinese, the Russians reasserting dominance over the Western Hemisphere, during an economic crisis, it just seems going after a ground invasion of Iran would really be overextending. This is not going to be Iraq. This is a very different animal. I mean, Iran is huge territory. It's a much larger population. It's much more powerful militarily. This would be a disaster. You know.
Sorry, facts don't matter to Trump, okay?
Uh,
They've never mattered to Trump. You know, they tried for the longest time to give Trump press briefings, right? Daily briefings where he was updated on geopolitics. And at first there's a page, and they recognize he doesn't even have the attention span for a page. So they made it a paragraph, and they recognize, oh my God, he can't even read a paragraph. So what they figured out was that this guy watches TV all the time. So if you want Trump's attention, if you want him to recognize certain aspects of foreign policy, you need to go on Fox News and tell it to him there. Okay, so this guy's brain is a TV set. And so he doesn't recognize the fundamental rules of geopolitics. He doesn't understand what it means to be overextended, what it means to have enough resources to fight wars. All he sees is optics, right? So he thinks that this thing in Venezuela was a huge success. Why can't we do the same thing in Mexico? Why can't we do the same thing in Cuba? And why can't we do the same thing in Iran? So for Trump, it's all about optics, about visuals. He sees these Delta Force operators flying into Tehran and blowing things up, and that's how his mind works.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus on the United States overextending its hard power, but I think it's also overextending its diplomatic capital, because Trump only speaks in this language of, oh, this is my dear friend, we're best friends, in order to be, yes, as his good cop, or he's gonna destroy you, which is his bad cop. But it was either or, and he tends to switch back and forth, to the point, at least what I hear from the Russians, that they don't take him that seriously anymore, because nothing he says will last for more than a week, because he will switch again. I mean, now he's, oh, Vladimir, my good friend, and now, oh, I will destroy their economy, and we'll kill some more Russians. I mean, it's there's no consistency. It's either yeah, but that was my
Well,
point with Chinese as well. Either you build trust in America's economic infrastructure, or you try to coerce something, but you can't do both.
Well, I think he is consistent. He's a mafia boss. And that's what people don't really understand about him. You know, he's not the president of the United States. He's a mafia boss. And once you appreciate that, then he's easy to deal with. Just don't trust him. Just don't take what he says with just don't believe anything he says. You know, he's gonna do what is in his own personal best interest. Not necessarily in the best interest of the United States, but his own best interest. He's gonna do what makes him look good. This Maduro raid was counterproductive for the United States. It really hurt the American standing around the world. It made America look like a criminal enterprise, but he doesn't care because it made him look good on TV.
Well, do you have any final thoughts on 2026 before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I would say that this event in April when Trump visits China, Trump needs to figure out a lot of things before April. Okay, so what we're seeing in South America is the United States establishing hegemony, military hegemony throughout South America. And we will see an escalation of that over the next few months, especially with regards to Colombia and Mexico, possibly Brazil as well, where Trump gets into an argument with Lula for whatever reason. Trump likes that to show that he's the boss. We can also expect to see more conflict in Africa as well, because Africa is where, in national security strategy, Trump said very vocally that he will not cede Africa to China, that America and its allies will challenge will challenge China wherever it can. And the last area would be China, Japan. So I would say that as time goes by, the conflict between Japan and China will just increase because Trump needs to exert as much leverage over China as much as possible. And then you'll have this meeting in April, and I think there are 4 meetings actually scheduled for 2026. So Trump needs to resolve the China issue, and the reason why is the end game is Iran. He needs to resolve the China issue before he launches a full-scale invasion of Iran. Russia will come to Iran's defense. There's nothing that Trump can do about it. The wild card right now is China, what China will do in response to an Iran invasion. And so the end game is Iran. China is maybe the penultimate boss before Iran. But I think if I were a betting man, and I think people will be surprised by this, China and the United States will come to an arrangement.
Well, I think everyone should keep an eye on April then. And I like the idea that if these 2 major powers, the US and China, can work out a deal, then other pieces can fall in place. On the other hand, if they work out a deal, it could also be something about the US asserting its dominance in its near abroad. It's the Arabs have a nice expression. I think it's along the line that when the elephants fight, the grass get trampled, but when the elephants make love, it also gets flattened. So
Right.
so they're screwed anyways. That's my point. So anyways,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.